Welcome to the tutorial for preparing XML for submission to the ATO following Single Touch Payroll Phase 2 standards. The Australian Government Single Touch Payroll Initiative has changed the way businesses report employee payments. With Sdp, businesses need to report payments such as salaries and wages, pay-as-you-go withholding, and superannuation electronically to the Australian Taxation Office at the same time as making payments to the employees. Sdp Phase 2 has modified the format and content of the original reporting XML. Now, let's sign in to Enterprise One. Please note that in order to run the process to generate the payroll XML, we must have our system set to run the Australia payroll. Also, before entering the Sdp information, we must verify the employee details setup on the Australian Employee Tax Declaration form. We can access this form by selecting the Tax Overrides option from the row menu on the Work with Employee Information form. The first step towards XML data generation is to enter the Sdp information for a pay period. So, we'll create an Sdp record for October 11th, 2020. After having run the final update for a payroll, which in this case has already been done, let's select Australia Sdp Workbench from the Payroll menu to add our Sdp record. Click Add to add a new record. On the Create Sdp Submissions form, enter the year, the check date, and the home company for which to enter the Sdp data, and also review and, if required, update the values in the remaining fields. Please note that the payroll should have been run for the employee for the check date that you specify here. If the payroll hasn't been run for this date, the system will not process Sdp. Review the start date and the end date for the year. This is the date range that the system uses to pick employees' data. If there is a need for us to update a submitted event to include corrections, we enter a Y in this box to invoke and enter into the Update Event fields. This example is for a first-time event entry, so we will leave this as N. We select Y in the Bill All Employees field to build data for all employees paid in the financial year, including the terminated employees. Then click OK to submit the event, and again OK to confirm the printer selection. Confirm the output destination on the Report Output Destination form. Now, we'll access the report to review it. This report creates the data for the XML file to report the payment data for the pay period to the ATO. It includes employer details, pay period details, and employees' details for the pay period, including the income stream, lump sum amounts, child support and garnishee amounts, working holiday maker amounts, and also termination details. The report also displays the totals under pay period totals, year-to-date totals, and grant totals. Let's close the report. Now, search for the Sdp data record that the system generated. We search it by the check date. If there are multiple submissions for the same date, then the one with the highest sequence number is the latest run event. The system displays the Sdp record that we just created. Now select the record and select Employee Information from the menu. Use the Employee Sdp Info by Income Stream form to review the payment details for the employees included in the specific pay period. We can review employee details such as income stream types, gross payee withholdings, and tax treatment codes. To review additional details for an employee, select an employee and select Additional Data from the row menu. The Employee Additional Data screen shows details such as allowances, lump sum amounts, superannuation, and garnishee based on the DBA instructions for the employee. Close the Employee Additional Data form. For a terminated employee, select the employee and then select the Termination Data option from the row menu and review the termination details. Exit this form and close the Employee Sdp Info by Income Stream form. Select the Sdp Record and select Generate XML from the row menu to run the report. If there are any errors in the Sdp Record based on the validation rules provided by the ATO, the system will display this form to list the errors for your perusal. You have an option to fix the errors or to ignore them and generate the XML with the current data. You can also correct the errors through an update event on the Create Sdp Submissions form. In our scenario, we will ignore the errors. Now, upon generating the XML, the system changes the status code of the Sdp record to G, which denotes that the XML has been generated. We can review the generated XML by accessing the XML path for the report from the P95641 application. Then, to prepare the XML, select the Submit option from the Prepare XML Submission option on the row menu. Select the checkbox to declare the authenticity of the XML content and confirm it. The system formats the saved XML file based on the ATO specifications and changes the status of the Sdp record to P, which indicates the status as XML prepared for submission. After this, you need to engage with the sending service provider to deliver payroll reports to the ATO in the correct technical format or through a permitted technical channel. To learn more about preparing XML for submission to the ATO following Single Touch Payroll Phase 2 standards, visit us online at learnjde.com. Thanks for watching.